Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a good video for you today. I'm going to be talking about the Alabama kidnapping or escape of Casey White, along with the correctional deputy, Vicky White, and we're going to get into the whole case here in a minute. Before I get started, please check me out on YouTube member programs, Patreon member program, Discord. Check my merch out, everybody. I mean, it's going crazy. The book, Gangster Redemption, unbelievable. Having a great success. People are loving it. Now, let me get started on this case, because this is an amazing case. It really reminds me of Matt and Sweat, which was two inmates who escaped from Dannemora State Prison in New York, and they were on the run for 3 weeks. And they used a guard to get out, but in a different way. That lady helped plan it. She got cold feet at the end and stuff of that nature. Well, in Alabama, a guy named Casey White. Now, Casey White was serving 75 years in prison already for various crimes. And when he did these crimes, he confessed to another, in 2020, confessed to a murder of a lady, but then he recanted that confession, but he was going on trial for the murder, and that's why he is back at a county jail in Lauderdale County, Alabama. Where's Lauderdale County, Alabama? Lauderdale County, Alabama is in the northwest corner of Alabama. It's a county about 700 square miles, so I mean, it's got a lot of land. Well, like everything else, every county has a county jail. And this lady, who supposedly at first they thought she was kidnapped by Casey White. Now, her name is Vicky White, but now as things came out, Vicky White had put in her retirement papers about 5 weeks ago, talked about 3-4 months ago to retire. She was due to retire, and her last day of work was supposed to be on Friday. Now, she was the assistant director of corrections at this facility in Lauderdale County. Now, by protocol, in most jails anyway, especially with a guy who's already serving 75 years and he's up for capital murder. He's back at the county jail for a capital murder case. Now, obviously, when you go back to a county jail, they know what you're there for, and capital murder is the death penalty. Obviously, this lady, Vicky White, she was a widow. She was no kids, so she must have lost her husband. This guy, Casey White, no relations at all, was committed his crimes in Limestone County, Alabama in 2015. Now, he confessed, like I said, in 2015 to killing of a woman in Rogersville, Alabama. White then pled not guilty to the crime. He was at the William E. Donaldson Correction Facility in Jefferson County. That's where he was. And he was transferred back to Lauderdale County to face these capital murder charges. Now, what was really interesting about this case, in 2020, only a couple years ago, the inmate intended to escape and take a person hostage in 2020, Singleton said. That's the sheriff. But his plan was discovered and a policy was put in place mandating 2 sworn deputies should be with him at all times, including during transportation to court. This guy's 6'9". In the federal system, you get transferred by 2 anyway, no matter who you are. And if you're a higher classified inmate, like a life sentence guy in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, you're transferred by a lieutenant as well. Now, obviously, this lady had the rank. She was the deputy assistant director of corrections at this Lauderdale County. She was well regarded, well respected. So she kind of set policy. Now, what she did was she went out of the facility. She took this guy under the pretense of going to a mental health evaluation. Everybody knew she shouldn't have took this guy on a vehicle alone, the county van that they go. And they have actual footage. 8 minutes after she left the county jail, she went directly to a parking lot and they disappeared from there. There's no footage at this time or anything. They do have footage from the van that she was transported in. And also there's a $10,000 reward given by the marshals and Lauderdale County. Obviously, the FBI, the marshals are all involved, and of course, Lauderdale County. But they believe me, Lauderdale County is now pushed aside. They're not going to be involved in this investigation anymore. They are, but they're not. They fucked up. The county fucked up. Now, did the county fuck up, or is it just a person that went off the rails? Let me explain how it works and how transports work. Again, anytime you go into any facility, whether it's federal, state. You get processed in and processed out. So somebody had to process this guy out. Obviously, this lady knew the system, so she bypassed whatever she had to do, and she get it. Right when this happened, the minute this happened, it was on the news, and they're talking about a deputy was kidnapped. I knew right away this wasn't a kidnap. This was an assisted escape, and now they're both, I would say, on the lam or on the run, and she aided and abetted the escape. Now, before I jump to any conclusions, like a lot of people are, why did she do it? Obviously, they're going to find out more. They're going to find out with phone records. They're going to find out with text records. They're going to find out exactly what happened. Now, they're saying in the court system, in the facility itself, they're looking at footage, and she had obviously range of the whole entire county jail because she's just assistant director, and she gets in contact with all the inmates at that county jail. It does go to show you that you know how one person could facilitate an escape. Was it done for money? Whenever you see one of these, it's usually a love triangle. I don't know what goes through people that would make somebody ruin their whole life for this, for helping somebody escape. And in this case, this lady is not out there. She's almost 2 decades in the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department. 2 decades, that's almost 20 years. And why would she ruin her life in this case for this inmate? I mean, is love that strong? I don't know. I never thought it was, but maybe it is, and maybe I'm missing something on that. But you see it time and time again. I used to see librarians, I used to see teachers, I used to see outside people, I used to see guards have sex with inmates and get into relationships with inmates. Obviously, you could have guys get into relationships with guys and girls get into relationships with girls and guys, girls. It doesn't matter. We're not even talking about the gender of these people, although this is a male and a female. 6'9" this guy is, Casey White. Not easy to hide. Now, which goes to show me where they dropped them off. They knew they were going to have a lead time of X amount of hours. This lady knew she was going to have X amount of hours before she had to come back, and they find her. Where is the inmate on count? And where is this deputy corrections assistant? So now, with that said, I think they planned an escape very, very well. This lady, Vicky White, she sold her house a week or so before. She sold her house a week or so, or 5 weeks before the escape. She was living with her mother. Again, I said she was a widowed. Her husband died of some sort of, I don't know, medical stuff, and she had no kids. So I don't know where she thought, if she just flipped, her brain got fucking up, or was somehow she persuaded. Somehow, is there some coercion going on? What can that guy Casey White hold over Vicky White? Hey, I'm going to kill your mother. I have 2 people outside who's going to kill your mother if you don't assist me, or whatnot. Now, this guy is obviously capable of murder. He's in for a string of crimes, 75-year sentence, and then he's up for capital murder on this lady, and which he confessed for in 2020, but recanted, so he's going on trial. What made this lady do what she did? Now, everybody's going to jump, oh, she's just about sex, Sex can't do that. Listen to me, I often tell people all the time, in prison, everybody says, what do you miss most? Is it sex? It's never sex. Yes, you miss sex, just like you're a normal person, but the biggest thing people miss when they go to prison is food. Obviously, this isn't over food. I'm just giving you a priority of what you would think that most important in prison. And again, it's not sex. So is this whole thing about sex? No. What kind of manipulation skills does this guy have to coerce this assistant deputy director to do what he's doing? And also, how much time did they spend together for this to happen? In the Matt case and Sweat case, and the lady at Dannemora State Prison in upstate New York, who these guys, 2 murderers as well, escaped, and they were caught 3 weeks later. I don't know where these people are going to go, where they're not going to be spotted or seen or whatnot, and where they're going to live, and how do you blend in at 6'9"? That is not as easy as you think. And besides even blending in, you only had X amount of hours to get out of the country or get where you're going. Now, you're in Alabama. You can't drive through Texas in that kind of amount of time and go to the border of Mexico. You can't get to Canada, obviously. Couldn't have got on a plane. You need ID and everything else. They would have known that already. So wherever they are, they're probably in a tri-state area. Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas. I doubt Alabama. Could be Florida, could be Georgia, could even be South Carolina. Somewhere around here in Alabama, surrounding states. Now you had time. I'm gonna estimate they left the prison and they're gonna have at least, and this is minimum, 3 hours before anybody even discovered they were even might be missing, because the guard didn't come back. Was she still on this transport? Now, obviously, they find out that the transport was all bullshit. He was not scheduled for a mental health evaluation, so that was all bullshit. So this guard, Vicky, did that. Now, remember this also. These two people were armed, or at least she was armed, so you have to assume he is armed now as well. And now, how do you get to these people? How are they going to find these people? Obviously, the more media that goes out there, the more national publicity goes out there, people start looking, people start getting intrigued on this case. I know any one of the people watching this, if you're in the Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana, anywhere around here, there, Georgia, Florida, you are going to be on this case, and you're going to be, hey, if you see somebody. You know what, Matt and Sweat, the two guys who escaped in New York and eventually were caught. One was killed and the other was back in prison. They were in a cabin in the woods. There was such a manhunt on. Well, there has to be a manhunt going on for this people. Obviously, the FBI and the U.S. Marshals run that. The U.S. Marshals take lead. FBI usually, but Marshals is what handles escaped people. And they all handle inmate and federal inmate transport. It's called the U.S. Marshal Transportation Division. Those that go, they're air marshals on the planes. They're not cops. Of course, they're federal because they're crossing state lines at all times. So they have authority in all the states. Now, what do I think they did, or where are they going to go? Obviously, I think if they even plan this a little, they have money. She sold her house, so they have X amount of dollars. The lady really has no ties. She does have her mother, and her mother's in shock, doesn't understand it. I mean, she said she didn't talk about this guy, didn't talk about anybody. She went to work, and that was it. With that said, what are they going to do? Even if you have money, you have a vehicle that nobody knows about, what are you going to lay down in it? Because, again, these people's pictures are going to be plastered all over the news, and obviously right here you're seeing their pictures again, and it's 6'9". Think about that. Where do you go at 6'9"? You know, it's hard enough for me to blend in with a bald head and 250 pounds. How does somebody who's 6'9", 300 pounds blend in with a blonde correctional assistant director of the facility? She's obviously can blend in a lot easier than he can. So I'm a little bit confused on where they think they're gonna go, if you want to call it that. I'm sitting here all day before this video. I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm thinking about it. I'm watching the news. I'm saying, what would I do? I always take these cases and say, what would Larry do? Getting out of facility is one thing. He manipulated his way, whether he manipulated her. Somehow, he manipulated her to, this guy, I don't know if it's a spell of some sort. I don't even understand how he could see her that long to manipulate her. See, in prison and in county jails, it's not like you have constant contact with a guard. You might have a guard that's on a unit if that happens. And even then, most county jails are up in a rotunda that could look down at the unit and whatnot. They're not sitting in the unit like the feds do. And as assistant deputy director, she's definitely not on watch. So she's not like doing shifts or something, and then she's going to be with this guy and they're talking for 8 hours at a time, stuff of that nature. I know everybody's jumping to clues. Her name is White and his name is White. Vicky White and Casey White. Zero relations. And the White is a common name in America. I know that. So that doesn't shock me in any way. Where do they go? They have to get to a facility, and maybe they had it planned already, rented a place, or they got it through a third party. Here's their problem. Even if they planned it out and they went 2 states over and she rented a facility, once this is all over the news, the person she rented it from is going to know, I rented to a girl. Was this guy seen walking in, walking out? Now, what are they going to do other than that? Are they going to go in the woods like Matt and Sweat did and they found a cabin? Highly unlikely. Is he a survivalist? I don't know. Is she a survivalist? I don't know. And if you're gonna, what kind of life is that? Are you gonna live the rest of your life that way? I mean, it's kind of funny because I used to think, oh, how cool it would be to live like those people in Alaska. Get off the grid, go in, live off the land and stuff of that nature. In Alaska, they have a show like that. You know how old and boring that would get, and are you good enough to do that? Maybe they are, maybe they're not, I don't know. But they can't get far enough away to get to a spot that's so off the grid. You know, I do know this. I just traveled across country from Florida to LA. Now, when you look out a plane window at 30,000 feet, you will realize the vast amount of land the United States has. I mean, it goes 3,000 something miles across, 3,000 something miles across the state from the East Coast to the West Coast, and that's massive. Now, if my thing is they either got a vehicle or some sort, could be a truck. You know, truckers are not noticed as much. People don't look at truckers as people who hijack things or people who are on the lam. They look for a car, they look for two people. How often have you looked at an 18-wheeler and think maybe that guy's a escapee from a prison? Doesn't look that way. But that's another thing I'm sure the federal government and the FBI and marshals are looking into. Has there been any 18-wheelers bought or sold lately? If so, by who? Is it registered? It has to be, because that's one thing that gets stopped. Is somebody's hijacked? Has there been a truck stolen, a car stolen? I think all those things there have been found almost already. Now, this happened 5 days ago, 4 days ago. Now, they're on, this was last Friday, so here it is, Monday. This is going on for 4 or 5 days. No, off the grids, nobody has heard. I'm glued to this case because I understand how escapes work. I watched them, and this one has really got me baffled, being straight up on that. And the reason it's got me baffled, I calculate a lot of crime, I calculate a lot of getaways, if you want to call that. I'm baffled. I don't know what people out there are going to say, and I want you guys to comment on what you think they went. Where do you think they went? I think, now this guy, Casey White, 6'9", tattoos up here. You're pretty noticeable. Obviously, at this point in the world, knowing about it, and you'd be surprised that they do know about it. It's boggling the mind. Only thing I gotta say is somehow they're laying low. Now, is there more people involved? Did this Casey White have people involved? And I don't think a $10,000 reward is big enough to get anybody to flip. I mean, that's nothing in today's world. There might be a $50,000 reward coming up, $100,000 a reward coming up. Because whoever aided and abetted him knows something, obviously, whether it's a clue enough to know what direction they went into, if they changed, how you can't even change disguises, because there's no disguise. Listen, everything was planned that way. They got out, they went into another vehicle. It's not on tape yet, but they checked all the surveillance videos of all the shops and everything in that shopping plaza where she dropped off the car. Eight minutes after she left the facility, they got to the parking lot and they disappeared. What does that tell you? It tells you that this was not only planned, they got more time. They didn't go there and make like they went to the courthouse or go to a mental health facility and say, oh, you know, that was just to get out of the facility, go to the place where she is, get to another vehicle. How she's gonna do that from there, I have no idea. Obviously to another vehicle, he lays down on the back or whatever, however you're gonna do that. She changes her look, puts a wig on. He's a lot harder to disguise just because you can't change clothes and be somebody else. You can't put a beard on, or you can't put a hat or different color hair, or shave your head. Can't do that with him. 6'9". I don't know how many times you see a 6'9" person. They don't just, you know, you'll notice that and you'll remember that. You see a 6'9" person today at the mall or at the grocery store, man, you're gonna remember it now. Say, man, remember that guy was huge. Sometimes you say, man, I walked by this guy, I wasn't even up to his shoulder. So in that case, he's got to stay low. The biggest question for me is, how did he manipulate her? What did he have over her? What spell did he have over her that he can make her not only lose a career that she was retiring and doing whatever, or how mental is her life? This case is one of the cases that baffled Larry Lawton. And I don't get baffled often, you guys know that. But in this case, we're all going to stay tuned. I'm going to be reporting back on it, not only on podcasts. We have the podcast, The Real Deal with me, Larry Lawton, every Monday and Friday on all podcast platforms. We're changing things around. That's going to be fun. And you're going to hear about this case. Whether they get caught, they don't get caught. We're going to come up with other theories. I got a whole week to try to figure this out. As more and more news comes out, as more and more what they're telling us. Remember that too. Always remember, The authorities only release the information they want you to know. They don't release everything for obvious reasons. So if they have kooks coming up saying this, they know differently maybe what kind of car. They wouldn't know what car they left, and that would have been out there already, because they want to find it. And then they want to do forensics and find out what else. And they can look into that vehicle and say, oh wow, they have, clay from a certain area that was under construction in houses in an area. So they're gonna want to find all information and get the public's help. This is a public request. So with that said, everybody, I want you to stay tuned. Obviously, if you know something, you can call authorities. Make good choices. Check out my stuff. Check out the book. Check out what we're doing. Please subscribe. Put your notifications on. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms, and stay in touch. Make good choices, everybody. Please, make good choices. We all don't want to be talking about you because you made a bad choice here. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned. We're going to have a follow-up on this case for sure. Take care, everybody. Back at you soon.